Anthony Joshua said he can't please everyone as a heavyweight and let Wilder, Fury, and some of the other guys fight each other. Stay tuned.
Has it hurt you? Some of the criticism you've had and some of the things that have been said, not just by fighters, but by a lot of people in America. Has that hurt you? Has that hurt your pride a little bit?
No.
Tell me the truth.
I swear, like, no one can compare to my record and what I've achieved right now. Name me another fighter that you know what I've done in 21 fights.
Yeah, I agree, but then people are saying at the moment it's that thing that Lennox Lewis talked about. It'll be the what if, but why didn't he? What if? Does that not bother you?
I've done a lot already, and if that ain't good enough, then I'm never gonna please anyone. So why should I listen to anyone? If I listen to people now, imagine I listened to them 7 years ago when I first started, when I was even worse than I am now, and it hurt me. I would have never got here. So why am I gonna start listening to them now? Because I'll never be able to get there. This is a journey. It's my journey. I've got here, I've taken fights, I've taken risky fights. Listen, I can't bear the burden of the division on my back alone. Fight Klitschko, fight Povetkin, fight Wilder, fight Fury, while these guys are not fighting each other. Let them have a fight with each other. They've been in the game. Remember, they turned pro back then. Let some of them fight each other.
Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang, notification gang. Please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family we work in. It is Fight Week. Alexander Povetkin challenges the champion, IBF, WBO, WBA champion, and that is Anthony Joshua. Right? Anthony Joshua, you heard the clip at the beginning. He did an interview, BBC Sport, link in the description. He says, I can't please everyone anymore. So I get that. And so it's my game now. I'm having fun with it. I did 16 fights and went in for a world title, 3 years an amateur, and went in and won the Olympics, unified the heavyweight division, and it's still not good enough. Either I get stronger from it or I get drained by it. I think I am getting stronger from it, and it builds up thicker skin. Get behind me as a person rather than a boxer. If you support me as a person for life. But if you're just with me for boxing when it's going good, then you'll be there. But if it's bad, you will not. Right? And he started talking about like the backlash. The question was, how do you feel? Do you feel a type of way that you got in a position and people are mad at you? And you heard what he said. He was basically just saying like, hey, no one else has accomplished what I've done in 21 fights or whatnot. And as a result of it, I can't please everybody. You know, I can't make everyone happy. There's other guys, they turn pro sooner than me. Let them fight each other, right? That's what he said. Let them fight each other. I can't carry the burden and, you know, the weight of the world on my shoulders. No one else compares to me resume-wise in 20 fights, 21 fights. Listen, I don't know if Joshua like analyzes some of the stuff he's saying, right? But he should. Like what he just said, I totally 1000% disagree with. There's a few reasons why. I get the overall notion that, you know, we can't blame one guy in the division and say he has to fight everybody. But realistically, I'm not nitpicking, but Eddie Hearn and Joshua are famous for constantly bringing up his 21 fights. You have a solid resume for 21 fights, but you got to look at who you fought, when you fought them, and all the details surrounding that. And it's not what they quite build up. Yes, he's unified, but we know boxing. We know the fact that boxing has a lot of politics, right? So there's a lot of guys and they may never receive a title shot, or they may not get one when they're in their prime or whatnot, just based solely on politics, like Luis Ortiz. I stand by this. I've said this again. If Eddie Hearn, when he signed Luis Ortiz, put a lot of money and a lot of energy in Luis Ortiz, instead of saying he's boring or, only dealing with him for a couple fights and then releasing him and he goes to Al Haymon, and he gave him opportunities, then I have no doubt about it that if Luis Ortiz was given the same fast track as Joshua, he in fact could be a unified champion, right? If when Luis King Kong Ortiz was the mandatory for Joshua, instead of making the big money fight, which I understand business, I understand why you would want to make a money fight. I'm just talking about if we're talking a perfect world and, what Joshua's saying, because he keeps using his 21 fights. If instead of them pushing for a money fight with a known, notable Hall of Famer like Klitschko, right, and they gave Luis Ortiz a shot, he could possibly beat Joshua. This weekend, Povetkin's getting an opportunity. Luis Ortiz weren't ranked and never got his opportunity because they didn't want to make the fight, probably because of the style of Luis Ortiz. And he's taller than Povetkin, amateur, it's a risky fight. So, name somebody that Joshua, since he keeps bringing up his resume, name somebody that Joshua beat that would absolutely beat Luis King Kong Ortiz. Charles Martin, he didn't even beat Adam Kanowski, who I just was at that fight. He showed heart, he showed he's not no quit in him. That was good for his career. But he lost to Joshua, got knocked out. He lost to Adam Kanowski, who doesn't have the experience, pro or amateur, as many fights as Luis Ortiz. So I would definitely, when Charles Martin was a brand new champion with no title defenses, if Eddie Hearn and, gave Luis Ortiz the opportunity, then I would have picked Luis Ortiz to beat Charles Martin. And then boom, you already have an IBF champion. The only guy to beat Luis Ortiz is Deontay Wilder, who's the biggest puncher in boxing. So when Joshua's like parading around with like his resume and name someone that's done what I've done, it's a bit pompous because you had good backing. Eddie Hearn, they tell you all the time, we have an 8-10 year plan for him. So they had a plan. So they moved you how they wanted, got you experience, got you the exposure, built you up, let you sell out the O2 Arena, and just build up your profile, fighting the Kevin Johnsons and Gary Cornish and things like that to the point where you got confident. And then you also fought Klitschko coming off of a loss. So that leads me to my next point. When Joshua is saying stuff like, I can't be faced with the daunting task of having everyone in the division and I have to fight them, let them fight each other. What are you talking about? Tyson Fury fought Klitschko when he hadn't lost in a decade. He hadn't lost in like 9 to 10 years, fact. And Klitschko was unseated and dethroned by Tyson Fury. So what is Joshua talking about? Wilder took out Joshua's mandatory, Luis King Kong Ortiz, and was tested heavily in that fight. And then he still pulled the trigger, had 3 knockdowns, and got the job done. So Luis King Kong Ortiz, another top-rated guy, right? Now Tyson Fury and Wilder are about to fight each other. So I really don't even understand what Joshua is saying when he's saying, let them fight each other. That's what's happening. While Joshua is A-siding everybody and saying, I'm the A-side, and, plotting and picking him and Eddie Hearn, picking the path that they want to go, that doesn't entail, other top guys like Ortiz, Fury, Wilder, at least for next. They are fighting each other. Wilder fought Ortiz. Tyson Fury was the one that dethroned Klitschko, not Joshua. Joshua fought the Klitschko off of a loss where he looked horrible and off an 18-month layoff. Fact. So I don't even understand what Joshua was talking about. Again, it's cool that Joshua did this in 21 fights, but at the end of the day, you're a gold medalist. So of course I would expect someone with the amateur seasoning that has a gold medal to be moved more proper or more expedited than somebody else. A gold medal? I mean, look at Lomachenko. He got 2 gold medals and he in 10 fights is already moved up in weight and he's a multi-division champion. And he beat another 2-time gold medalist in Rigondeaux. And he beat a multiple champion in Jorge Linares. So, Joshua bragging about 21 fights and having it. I mean, Lomachenko, he has a gold medal and he's done it quicker. You look at Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux. he beat Donaire. It was probably Rigondeaux's 11th, 12th, 13th fight, somewhere right around there, off the top of my head. You know, I'm not using cliff notes or anything. So, you don't get extra points for being prepared. You know, most guys, when they have an amateur background, they can, especially a gold medal, they can get moved a bit quicker because they have experience. They come in with experience. So, I mean, I just don't understand when Joshua's constantly saying like, oh, these guys been pro since this amount of time, and I was just starting boxing. Yeah, but you just started. You picked up quick. You're athletic. You're big. You're strong, and you got a gold medal. You know. So you're moving about the pace that most gold medalists would move. You know, Floyd Mayweather, he got robbed at the Olympics. By the time he turned 21, he was a champion. Joshua wasn't 21 when he was champion. Look at Mike Tyson. He had some amateur pedigree, started boxing kind of late, and by the time he was 20, he beat Trevor Berbick. So, I mean, I don't understand. De La Hoya, look, he's a gold medalist. Look at what he did when he turned pro. So, I don't understand why Joshua is expecting all these accolades for being a gold medalist and in 21 fights. Plus, beyond that, beyond the amateurs and Olympics seasoning you, it's all based on privilege and politics. Eddie Hearn he's seen an opportunity with Charles Martin, a weak champion, you know, basically a champion that hadn't been proven, and he sees the opportunity. Good for him. But again, if someone else like Wilder, put Wilder and Charles Martin at that time in the ring together, I would have favored Wilder to do that, you know. Joseph Parker fought for Tyson Fury's vacant title against Andy Ruiz. I would pick Wilder or Luis Ortiz to beat both of them as well. They weren't given those opportunities. Wilder had called out Joseph Parker several times. Luis Ortiz is really down to fight anybody. I mean, he's called out Joshua and he called out Wilder until he got the fight. You know, he's called out Dillian Whyte. You know, so everybody else could have the same or similar or better resumes if they're given the same opportunities from their promoters and, you know, the politics coincide. So we'll see what Joshua looks like this week, and I don't think it's a matter of pleasing everybody. I think the last thing I'll leave with is you're telling everyone else to fight each other, but at the same time you keep saying stuff like, oh, Wilder, I'm too much for these boys and they can't compete with me and I'll eat him, and saying stuff like he's like, I'm gonna fuck Wilder up. But then you're telling them to go fight each other, you know? Not really a good look to me. And again, I think a lot of this game is politics. Just like Canelo, you know? Canelo, based on the way he looked and the way he was brought up and the way Golden Boy treated him, he was able to learn at his own pace, and, you know, and they gave him the fights that they want. Same thing with Ryan Garcia. You know, like certain people, they have different journeys. You know, Ryan Garcia, they're going to move him at the speed they want to move him at. You know, he might get his own main event and opportunity to sell out because they're building him up. They see the kid got 1 million Instagram followers and stuff, so they're going to move him differently. There might be somebody, let's say, and this is no disrespect to Ryan Garcia, that's my guy, but let's say there's a guy who has more skill than Ryan Garcia, but they're not as known, they don't have the look or whatever. Then Golden Boy might not give him a main event and give him the opportunity at the highest level to headline a card, you know? So there are politics. Joshua, he comes from a demographic, the UK, that supports their own, you know, they support their countrymen and stuff. That's great. But a lot of Joshua's career, he's received the bouts when it made the most sense for them, you know? And I think if other people were given those same exact opportunities, like Wilder versus Charles Martin, Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin, you know, Joshua unifying with Joseph Parker. Wilder called out Joseph Parker a long time ago, but they didn't answer the phone call, you know, and they end up fighting. They were willing to fight Dillian Whyte, willing to fight AJ, willing to fight Raz Kojanu, but they wanted no parts of Wilder. So how is that his fault, you know? So I don't think it's really a matter of pleasing everyone. People just want to see you unify, become undisputed, and do what you're saying. And beyond that, the guys are fighting each other. Nobody's just sitting around waiting for Joshua. Hence, Wilder, Ortiz, Fury versus Klitschko before Joshua was even a champion. Hence, Wilder, Fury. So, you know, I'm not really understanding what Joshua's saying. Link in the description. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.